This is your opportunity to be a part of the democratic process and help build your community from the community.
If you're over the age of 18, live in Santa Rosa, and want to use your civic power, I highly suggest you check out srcity.org/boards.
right, good morning, everyone. Let's call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. And Mr. Recording Secretary, can you do the roll?
Chair Okrepke,
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez,
Present.
and Councilmember Fleming. Let the record reflect that all members are present.
All right. Item 2, remote participation. There is none. Modifications to the agenda. Does staff or any of the committee members have any modifications they want to make?
Chair, staff has no modifications to the agenda today.
Awesome. We will move on to item number 4. Any announcements?
Chair, staff has no announcements for today's agenda.
Fantastic. We'll move on to item 5, approval of minutes. We got the draft minutes. Any adjustments to the minutes? Seeing none, we will adopt those as presented. Moving on to item 6, public comment on non-agenda items. This is the community's opportunity to speak on anything under the purview of the Economic Development Subcommittee that is not on the agenda. You will have 3 minutes. Nobody is even moving, so we will close public comment. Matters held in committee, none. Number 8, we will go to presentations.
No special presentations today, Chair.
We are moving. All right, item number 9, partner reports.
We have no partner reports today, Chair.
Okay, we will keep moving. Any action items?
No action items today, Chair.
I love the efficiency of this. This is going great. All right, number 11, department reports. We'll move to item 11.1 when you're ready.
Chair, thank you very much. Scott Adair, Chief Economic Development Officer for the City of Santa Rosa. Also, just want to point of education for the committee, for staff, and for the public. We have made a minor modification to how we're running the meeting today. You'll note that we're no longer using a master slide deck in the background to run us through the bullet points of the meeting. We're just sticking to the agenda as would be normal and as is practiced in City Council. So following that same style. So for department reports, number 11, as staff has shared with the subcommittee previously, we have been working on a project which is currently still under development, which is attached to the One Stop Shop initiative to create a virtual online experience for businesses so that they have one stop, one location online on the city's website where they can find information, resources, data, other materials, which would be helpful to them, whether they're an entrepreneur or an existing business, or they're a business looking to expand or relocate to the area. As part of that initiative, one of the tools that we're using and will be implementing in that new virtual online forum is a business portal or a business sign-up portal. And this is where, or a function or a feature, if you will, wherein businesses can log in through the one-stop shop and they can sign up to receive technical assistance, other support and services under our Business Concierge program. And so today, what we'd like to do, and I'm also excited as well, to highlight the partnership that has been ongoing and developing between the Economic Development team and our IT department. The IT department and our Economic Development team, we've been working very closely together in collaboration as partners in the background on this project, and to present on the Business Concierge portal and some of its features and to give you a general overview of how it works. I would like to invite our Small Business Ombudsman, Rafael Rivero, up to the staff table, and also Debbie Heard. Thank you. Well, with the IT department, they're going to come up and do an overview for you.
Hello, good morning. Okay, it's working. Good morning, Chair Okrepke and Councilmember Fleming, Councilmember Alvarez. My name is Rafael Rivero, and I'm a member of the Economic Development team. So good to see you all. I'm here this morning to provide a brief update on our Business Concierge program and to introduce an enhancement that strengthens how we serve our business community. In October 2025, I came before you to present a 6-month update following the launch of our Business Concierge program, an initiative designed to streamline business support services, improve communication between city departments and entrepreneurs, and help advance equitable economic growth. The program was intentionally designed as a hands-on, high-touch service model, guiding entrepreneurs and small business owners through city processes such as permitting, licensing, zoning, and connections to local and regional resources. During that update, we briefly discussed the concept of developing an online intake form after reviewing examples from other Bay Area municipalities and evaluating how they engage with and track business assistance requests. Following that presentation, we recognized that we could do more to enhance the program, particularly in the areas of gathering data, consistency, and strategic follow-up with entrepreneurs and small business owners seeking assistance. As a result, we partner with our IT department to explore how technology could support and strengthen this work. After several meetings and discussions, and in collaboration with Brian Tickner's team, IT developed an in-house online business concierge portal. The portal is user-friendly and allows entrepreneurs and small business owners to register for services, schedule meetings, and provide key information upfront. From our side, the portal allows staff to capture data, track trends, coordinate follow-ups, and better understand the types of assistance being requested, which ultimately helps us improve service delivery and program effectiveness. This program, you'll see, this morning, you'll see what the portal looks like, where it lives online, and how it was built internally through a close collaboration between economic development and our IT department. To walk you through how the portal works and the technical aspects behind it, our staff member from the IT department is here today and will provide a brief overview.
And we'll share the screen.
And you can state your name.
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm Debbie Bird. I'm a programmer analyst with the IT department. And I'm okay, so starting at the home page of our site, you go to Doing Business, Business Resources, and then the very first link is our Business Concierge program. This is where it currently lives online. Once we have the full one-stop shop portal, this will be moving, but this is how people find it at the moment. Once you land on the home screen, you have the option to log into your account, or you can register for an account. We highly recommend that the people do this because then once you have an account, then you can log back in. You can edit your application, your intake form. You can track messages back and forth between you and the city, ask questions, check on meetings, and so on. So I'm going to show you the business. There's 3 different buttons here: the log into my account, the request business concierge services, this is the actual intake form, and then we have a link to the PDF program manual in case they want to read the PDF. So starting from here, we do highlight please log in, register first. We don't require it. You can still submit an intake form without registering. We gather basic information like contact, first name, address, phone. Then down below we get business information, and it's a dynamic form, so as you answer questions it might ask you more. So is this a home-based business? Yes. Do you currently have a business in Santa Rosa? If you select yes, it's going to ask for your business license and try and gather some more information so we can better help you. We ask about the type of business. It's going to be health and wellness, hotel, so on. Then at the end, we ask like what services you're looking for, and that way we can tailor our responses back to you accordingly and how you would prefer to communicate. So text, phone, email, and so on. So this is the basic form. you submit it. Once you've submitted it, it goes into the admin portal on our side. And from that point, we can manage the status of the application. We do note at the top that we will get back to you within 24 hours of receiving the form. An email automatically goes out as soon as it's submitted to alert us that it's there. And then on the admin side, you can send messages from there. You can review the form and so on, and you can track your meetings against them. You can see permits that have already done against the property if they had one, if they put in a business address. I'm going to show you the user side. So if you log in, so it shows the information that I've filled out on the form so I can review it. If I need to update it, I hit my little edit button. It will take me back to the form. I can update my answers accordingly. I can create a message to send to them saying, oh, I'd like to set up a meeting. And then when they reply, it'll show up in purple beneath it. So it's almost like a chat back and forth. And your replies get kind of long, so it does pop out like that. You can upload documents, say I needed help with a specific PDF or something that I need to communicate back and forth. I can upload documents that then can be reviewed by the admin and responded to. If I recorded a business location, I put my business location is 100 Santa Rosa Avenue. It'll link me directly to the parcel report, so that I can see permits against that parcel, planning information that's been entered, and general information about that land. And that is basically the portal.
Thank you, Debbie. Just a couple of things I want to add. So Debbie actually developed the portal, so we're very excited to be working with her as well as the rest of the team. But for the business community, the benefit is clear, more efficient entry point into the city, reducing confusion, minimizing repeat outreach, and ensuring requests are handled quickly and efficiently. So that's one of our top priorities as well. And this project is also a strong example of what's possible when IT and economic development work together, and it sets a stage for future collaboration and other customer-facing tools. Looking ahead, the portal is intended to integrate into the city's final one-stop shop model, serving as the foundational intake and engagement tool rather than a standalone system. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Rafael. And Chair, before we move on to discussion, I do want to just reiterate and highlight the collaboration, but not just the collaboration, the cost savings. When we reviewed this concept of a login portal and the ability for businesses to create a profile and engage online with the city and the city staff for support and services, we looked at many other models that have been built by other cities using third-party consultants. And in discussions with those cities, they spent a considerable amount in professional services to have these portals developed by a third party for them. When we showed these concepts to Brian and Debbie and the IT team, and we asked, is this something that you can build? They said, absolutely. And so we've been working with them over the last 6 months as they've put this together. It's been a cost savings, but also a real treat just for two agencies to work together to bring forward the goals and missions of the Economic Development Strategic Plan. Now, this is in beta form, is what I would, how I would characterize it, and it's still in pilot. And that's why we have this as a discussion item today, rather than just an informational item. Because if you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you have ideas about the form, or if you're just simply here to say it looks great, keep moving forward with what you're doing, we're here to receive any comments or feedback that you might have. So thank you, and again, thank you, Rafael and Debbie, for all your work on this. And so, Chair, I'll turn it over to you for discussion.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate the zoning description of parcels. I believe it was pretty much a description of what goes with the property. Did I understand that correctly? Okay, perfect. I love that aspect of it. And sometimes the question that I hear is, what can I do with this property? I do have a question. I did see the language selection on the corner. Are there any limitations to languages such as documents in different languages?
Oh, the PDF that gets uploaded, you mean? I don't see, we would have to translate it ourselves. I don't think it auto-translates PDFs at the moment,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, but on those, we'll have to take them on a case-by-case situation where
So
if
forms-
require individuals requesting something like that, then we'll work
Okay.
our way
I
around.
would
so
appreciate it.
Gets
But-
translated.
But the
Perfect.
form will translate for them when they switch to a new language, so
The,
they'll,
the PDF form will translate?
no, the online form, so.
Well, the online
all-
forms will
all the
translate.
web pages, even when
Okay.
they're on their user portal, it'll be in their language that they've selected.
Perfect, perfect.
Great. No questions from me. We'll go to public comment on this at this point. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this item? No. So we will close public comment, come back for any final comments. The only comment for me is this is great. I love seeing stuff like this. You know, I've said this before, and I'll say it probably many more times, that Santa Rosa hasn't always had the best reputation for being business friendly, and we're making great strides in doing that. And this is some of those. I love seeing that the president of the chamber, as well as a representative from the Downtown Action Organization, are here to see this so that they can communicate this to the greater business community. As far as recommendations, this is one of those things where it looks great now. We should probably, you know, try to document any suggestions from the public and, you know, come back and do a revisitation of if it's working the way we intend it to or not. Nothing super in-depth, but just, you know, make sure that it's, in maybe a year or so, come back and make sure that it's doing what we intend it to do. So that's it for that for me on that item.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Alvarez.
We stated this is a pilot program or a pilot in its pilot stage and beta stage. When do we expect it to be launched?
So this will be, it's under what we call a soft launch presently, and it is getting some use now as we test it out. When we complete the virtual one-stop shop, the online one-stop shop, and launch our data dashboard, this will be nested within that as a tool or a resource on that home page. And we're presently moving toward likely 90-day implementation. That actually, discussion of the one-stop shop in general is one of our next updates on the agenda that we're going to be talking about.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
All right.
All right, thank you. We'll close out 11.1, move to 11.2.
Yes, thank you, Chair. For 11.2, staff is here today to give an update and report out on various economic development strategic plan related initiatives and projects, and to walk us through some of those initiatives, including the one-stop shop, the Ross Street pilot, the Creative Corridor, and the in-home child care guide program. I'm going to turn it over to Economic Development Program Analyst Rachel Beard.
Great, thank you, Scott, and good morning, committee. As Scott mentioned, I'll be providing some updates on some of our programs. So our one-stop shop, as we talked about here with the Business Concierge program, we're continuing to meet regularly with our contractor, which is Cyril Creative, for work on our one-stop shop, and this is moving forward. We're working on website content, our marketing plan, and our video concepts right now. I am also working with Dr. Eiler, who you all met virtually in our last meeting, and our IT team on creating an economic dashboard. This will display our metrics and our data, which will be incorporated in the one-stop shop also. So we'll have more updates to come over the coming months on that dashboard. So that will also be an internal interdepartmental collaboration with IT. For our Ross Street pilot or our street activation, based on feedback from our City Council study session back in September on street activation, our team has been working with downtown businesses and property owners to explore a pilot program along Ross Street downtown. We will be back in the future to this committee with more details of how this program will be implemented and what the timeline looks like. For our Creative Corridor, I meet monthly with representatives from the Children's Museum, the Schultz Museum, and Snoopy's Home Ice. We discuss wayfinding and placemaking in that area along West Steele, which we're coining the Creative Corridor. Some of these initiatives include pole banners, additional wayfinding signage, and I'll have more details to come, and we can present some ideas in the future. But these ongoing meetings have been very successful with these agencies. They're really excited about placemaking in this area of our city. And lastly, our in-home childcare guide, and I will share this on our screen here. Perfect, and I can scroll through this if needed. Our in-home child care guide was attached to the agenda this morning. Our team worked closely with our city planning department to create this guide. The purpose of it was to provide accessible information to those who would like to provide child care within their home. We explained how to apply for zoning clearance and what requirements are needed. We distributed these guides to our partners at 4Cs and First Five, some of these agencies that work closely with child care providers. The goal was to create accessible information and to bridge that gap between the city and what the requirements are with these child care agencies. This is offered in both English and Spanish, so I can just kind of do a quick scroll through. It's 2 pages, it's front and back. And attached to the agenda, it was in both English and Spanish. So has all the information here, zoning clearance application requirements, how to apply, as well as how to connect with staff if there's any questions. So those are my updates, and I think you had a couple to follow.
Thank you, Rachel. Chair, I have a few updates on other economic development initiatives and projects. You may recall that staff previously brought a slate of options or recommendations to this body for the backfilling of vacant spaces within the downtown. Facade improvement grants, direct marketing, other options were presented, and it was ultimately decided to explore a new commercial renter program. The purpose of that new commercial renter program to provide education to businesses, in particular, entrepreneurs who don't have experience leasing commercial space, who may not understand commercial leases, what a triple net lease is, what CAM charges are, et cetera. And so since that time, after receiving that direction from this body, we've been working with staff, with other agencies, reaching out to the business community, talking with commercial real estate brokers to put together a scope of work to develop this program. That scope of work has been memorialized in an RFP, or a request for proposals, and that request for proposals is now active and it closes in a week. So within a week's time, we'll be looking to review all of the solicitations that will come in under that RFP process, rank and review those, and then make a recommendation and an award so that we can move into contract with a company or an agency who can provide those services. When that is complete, we'll then schedule the launch of the commercial renter program, and we'll come back with additional details on that to this body. Something else that we've also been working on, you'll notice there's a recurring theme of our group developing tools and resources and processes over the last year, and that's because there has been, for our division, a lot of these have been missing, or at least not in a memorialized format. And that includes the creation of such things such as the implementation plan, which accompanies the economic development strategic plan, updating the public art master plan, developing resources like the business concierge portal, the child care support initiative. But included in that is additional work related to tourism and developing more specific strategies related to tourism for the city of Santa Rosa. As a city, we do not have a set of principles or guidelines for that would govern our conduct as staff for tourism-related initiatives. That's something that we're missing. And so working with the business community and the SRTBIA board, which is the Santa Rosa Tourism Business Improvement Area Board, we brought forth to City Council a new work plan. which was received and adopted by your council, which includes the development of working in conjunction with our existing partners, a tourism strategic plan, so that the city has something similar to its art strategic plan and its economic development strategic plan. We have actually guiding principles that we use to govern our programmatic work and our implementation work at a staff level for tourism-related initiatives. So that is still something that's in a scoping phase, if you will. We're talking with our partners, including the Chamber, Visit Santa Rosa, Sonoma County Tourism, et cetera, and you'll be seeing more information on that forthcoming. In addition, that same work plan and that new document for SRTBIA, which spells out a 3-year period of improvements and process development for that body, includes the development of some processes and some procedures and just some clarity, which is currently missing from the SRTBIA. And by that, for example, the SRTBIA board does not have an established set of bylaws. It does not have an established set of rules of operation or rules of procedure. There's no clarification concerning term limits for the seats of those board positions. There is missing from the board composition representation from other areas of the tourism industry. And so the assessment of that and the review of that so that we can bring back some firm recommendations to the full council is also something that's currently in development. So there are a number of things that we continue to work on, and as you know, we bring updates to you. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, if you will, but these are some hot ticket items that we just wanted to give some updates to your committee today. Happy to take any questions that you might have, and that concludes mine and Rachel's presentation, so thank you.
No questions for me right now. Councilmember Alvarez indicated no questions, so we'll go to public comment. No public comment. We'll come back for final comments. Any final comments from? All right. So my only final comments on this is I really do like there's a lot here. So I'm not trying to ignore other things, but only focusing on certain things. Like you said, you have a lot of irons in the fire. You're doing a lot. But to focus on only a couple, the in-home child care guide, really appreciate that. I know a couple years ago we addressed that as a council at the planning level. It is something that I think anybody with children in this city knows, that childcare is not only hard to find, but it's also extremely expensive. And so being able to fast track, if you will, the ability to have in-home childcare is phenomenal. Also, the SRTBIA review, I think that's great. I'm not always the hugest fan of creating more guardrails on how things operate, but going from no guardrails or seemingly no guardrails to some is always beneficial so that we know where we're going. So I appreciate that. And with that, we will close item 11.2 and move on to item 11.3.
Thank you, Chair. Item 11.3, today we're going to be receiving from staff, or your body will be receiving from staff, an update and report on various planning division-related projects that directly align with the Economic Development Strategic Plan, including entertainment zones and the use permit process. With that, I'd like to introduce Jessica Jones, Deputy Director of Planning, to the table.
Good morning, Chair Krepke and Councilmember Alvarez. Jessica Jones, Deputy Director of Planning. So, I've got two items here that I wanted to highlight. One of which you should be very familiar with. We were just at Council on the 27th talking about entertainment zones, but I also wanted to highlight the conditional use permit streamlining process that we're currently working on, both of which are directly related to the Economic Development Strategic Plan. As we talked about on January 27th with the full council, the city has been working on developing entertainment zones for our downtown and Railroad Square area. We received some great direction from council at that meeting to go ahead and move forward with that as a pilot program. So we are proceeding with that. So the steps that we've got moving forward is really to do some engagement with the local businesses, the DAO, the Chamber, the Railroad Square Association, Santa Rosa Plaza, Sonoma County Museum. We're also going to be needing to talk to Caltrans for that connection underneath the freeway between Railroad Square and downtown, as well as working with ABC and continuing to contact other jurisdictions that have existing entertainment zones to better understand how their programs work and how that might work with Santa Rosa. We expect to be back to council hopefully in the summertime. We want to make sure that we get this right. So we'll be back with an ordinance, which will be hopefully kind of a broad ordinance, which will then be further pared down into a draft management plan, which we'll present to council. That draft management plan will ultimately be approved by either the director of the Planning and Economic Development Department or the city manager, and that process will be outlined for council when we bring it forward. And the idea is that this will be a 12-month program, and so at the end of that 12 months, we'll return to council with a summary of how it's gone and recommendations, and hopefully get some direction from council if we want to continue it, modify it, or if for some reason it's not working, not move forward. So before I move on to conditional use permit streamlining, is there any questions on that one? Okay, great. So conditional use permit streamlining. So this is an initiative we've been working on for a little while. As you both probably remember, we have done some streamlining for our other permitting processes, in particular design review, and more recently the landmark alteration permit process, to create a director level process, which we didn't have in the past. So similar to that, and in support of the Economic Development Strategic Plan, we are developing a director level conditional use permit process to provide another opportunity for businesses that want to come to Santa Rosa that maybe can't be approved by right, need a little bit more oversight, but don't necessarily need to go to a public meeting and take that additional time and cost and uncertainty of going to either the zoning administrator or the planning commission. So we have been putting together this process, and as part of that, looking through our code to determine what existing land uses could be brought down to kind of a lower level at the director level. We've also been working with our businesses. We worked with the Economic Development Division to hold a couple workshops with our businesses. To get some feedback from that, we have put together a draft of what this might look like, which has been up on our website since January, and have been collecting feedback from the community. For the most part, people are really excited about a more streamlined, simpler process that provides a little more certainty with getting businesses through the process. There have been a couple of folks who just don't like streamlining at all, but for the most part, we're receiving a lot of good feedback, some questions that we've been able to answer, but it's so far been well received. So we are moving forward with that. We've got this tentatively scheduled for the Planning Commission on March 12th, and then followed by Council on April 7th. So that concludes that, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I don't have any questions on that right now. We'll go to public comment on this. Nobody's moving. We'll close public comment. Come back for final comments.
Please keep moving forward. I'd love to hear how Santa Rosa is supporting the entrepreneurial spirit, the streamlining. And I'm sad to hear that some people do not like streamlining, but I guess not all fish swim up the same current, or at least not in the same way. But nonetheless, though, to hear, earlier I heard how we weren't always known for supporting businesses, but we're changing that. And for myself, the comment that I made was how people's questions are sometimes, what can I do on this property? And for there to be technology and the effort from our staff to complement those efforts is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you very much for to all the teams that are involved in this project, and the project being the economic development of City of Santa Rosa. So thank you.
Yeah, I concur with my colleague. I'd say you touched on it already, but I've even received feedback on the conditional use permit streamlining, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. I think the most we can do is set the community up for success, set ourselves up for success. Whether people take advantage of that or not is not up to us. The old you can lead a horse to water metaphor, but in this sense, we should be doing, and it looks like we are doing everything we can to make it easier to do business in our community and to show that we want you to do business in our community. So I think it's great, and I really appreciate all the efforts that are going into it. So thank you very much. With that, we will close out item 11.3 and move on to item 11.4.
Thank you, Chair. 11.4, I'm going to turn it over to our Planning and Economic Development Director, Gabe Osborne, to introduce us to this discussion on sign permitting processes for businesses.
Good morning, Chair. Chair Okrepke and Councilmember Alvarez, and I will in turn hand this over to Ms. Jones here in a few minutes, but I just wanted to make a few points about some of the efforts the team has really gone through. You've seen it from a use permit process. The next discussion is about signs. I know Councilmember Alvarez has brought that issue up in the past. We have heard that from the community, and I think as you saw on the top of the agenda, one of the important pieces that we're trying to focus on is a singular point of contact within the department for educational purposes. Sometimes what we find is a process isn't very cumbersome, but someone that's going through it for the first time thinks very differently about that. And then they are not able to educate themselves. They get confused by a process. So when we see a process internally as being efficient, we have to recognize in the community they don't always see it that way, especially when somebody's going through it for the first time. So education's a really important piece. And what we'll talk about on the science side, because we do have a fairly streamlined process, is how we can better educate. Now, the next step, obviously, if similar to the use permit process, we see something that's taking 60 days, it should take 30, that's where, from a small business support standpoint, we have to reduce it to the 30 because the time matters. It means money, it means predictability in the process. So what we've seen from the signs is a lot of it is education. We do have a fairly streamlined process. We are working fairly closely with our business partners at the mall and the centers where we see a repetitive movement. Signs can be a bit challenging when they require power. So we want to shift to a fairly strong educational campaign, and we think the portal is the perfect location to do that, as well as one-sheets and other handouts that we can do to address the need in the community. So with that, just wanted to make a point that I think education is equally as important as process improvement, sometimes more important if the process is already streamlined. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ms. Jones, and she will describe a bit about our sign permit process.
Thank you, Director Osborne. Yes, our sign permits fall into basically 4 categories. We've got kind of our typical sign permits, which are generally handled over the counter. So if a project comes in, it conforms to our sign ordinance and or a sign program, which I'll get into in a moment. It's handled by our permit techs. And if it is submitted, if they come in with an appointment to our front counter, that oftentimes can be issued that day. If it's submitted electronically, and that typically is then assigned to one of our permit techs, and depending on the complexity of it, it can take a couple days to mostly the maximum of a week. If it is a more peculiar sign that needs review by a planner, that can take a little bit of extra time, but at most it should never take more than 4 weeks, really. The other buckets that our sign applications fall under is a sign program. Sign programs are required when you've got a multi-tenant shopping center, so the Plaza, Montgomery Village, Santa Rosa Marketplace. Sorry, my brain is slightly foggy from a cold. Where we've got multi-tenants, they require a sign program. And oftentimes what we're seeing when there's confusion and things are taking a little bit more time is when permits come in that are inconsistent with the sign program. We do have some sign programs that are pretty old, and we have been working with property owners to update those. But the sign programs are set by the property owner. They have to conform with our zoning code, but then they oftentimes go into a little bit more detail in providing, the colors and the font types and things like that. That is much more detailed than our sign ordinance requires. And so where we have seen, particularly lately, issues with single signs coming in and taking a little bit longer because they aren't conforming, it's because they're not conforming to the sign program. So in those cases, we've been working with the property owners to try to update their sign programs to make them more simple. If they really aren't wanting to regulate the color, then let's take that out of the program. And otherwise, while they're working on their sign program, one of the things that we've been doing is if the sign application and the single sign permit comes in and maybe it doesn't conform to the sign program and they're working on updating that program, but it conforms with our ordinance, we're going ahead and getting it processed for them quickly while they're adjusting their sign program, just to try to make things a little bit easier. But that's generally where we're seeing some of the issues. The other buckets are a sign variance. So if somebody is proposing a sign that is, let's say, a monument sign that's taller than what's allowed by code, or more signs than what is allowed, or a larger sign, that would require a sign variance, which goes to our zoning administrator. That process generally takes about 3 months to get through the process, just with the review by referral agents or departments within our organization, and then prepping and noticing for the zoning administrator meeting. And then we've got temporary sign permits, which are very quick over the counter for things like promotional sales, grand openings, that type of thing. And then our new wayfinding sign program, which the council adopted not too long ago for our downtown and the North Station area. And for the most part, those programs are in place, and really it's just about replacement of any existing signs within that program, which is an over-the-counter process. So, like I said, I would say generally speaking, our process is relatively quick and simple. So I think as Director Osborne mentioned, it's really about education and helping folks through that process, making sure that if there is a sign program, that they're complying with that, and if the sign program needs to be updated, working with the property owner to do that.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Something that I could just briefly add, Chair, resources such as videos, guides, PowerPoints, how all of these processes work, if you're a business, how you navigate them, everything that Deputy Director Jones just explained. These are also the types of things that we'll be putting on the Business Concierge portal, the virtual one-stop shop portal for businesses, and we're already working with planning staff and building staff on developing those tools. So.
Great, thank you. I think the only question for me, and since you opened the door on signs in general, one of the things that we've kind of discussed informally is neon signs and how everything old becomes new again, and that when there was a time when people hated neon signs, and I think there's a time now where people kind of look at neon signs as not only something that is very, is not just cool, but kind of a piece of art, vintage, if you will. Yes, that's a great term. So I know that we have some restrictions on that, if not a lot of restrictions on that. Is that being taken into consideration in this process?
So I'm double checking with our code right now. So the code prohibits flashing and, I just lost it here. Let's see, moving, flashing, electronic, digital, and windblown signs. So if a sign falls under that category, it is not currently allowed. And as of right now, we don't have a process or a program moving forward to update our sign code, but certainly something that we can look into. As far as neon signs, I don't know that those are necessarily included in this, that they're prohibited, but they would count towards the maximum allowed signage that a business could have.
Yeah, and I think I can add too, as we get into just the fact that the code becomes outdated because it's looking at materials and designs that were popular at some point in time and no longer are. That is typically an area where we do have to refresh the code at some point. That becomes a prioritization. I think what you'll see with the use permit process is more of a wholesale change on process. That's a fairly significant overhaul. But usually as we work with businesses as they come in to try to have their sign align with our code, we've been fairly successful with that in the past. But as we get into materials, obviously there's been concerns about freeway-oriented signs. So when we look at signs in its totality, the code is a bit outdated and does need some refreshing. So I think as we look through this from a strategic standpoint, it's more on education. It's understanding if the process is working for the businesses. Can they navigate through the code section and still do what they want to do or get close to that? And if they can't, then we put that to the side and understand that that may be a code change in the future to address that and make it, I think as Ms. Jones mentioned, more flexible. Oftentimes when code becomes too prescriptive, it becomes aged, and then we run into a problem in the future as technology changes. So that's definitely what we're looking at. Obviously, there's prioritization of that. The use permit, what we see, has the biggest dollar amount benefit, and that's why we placed our primary focus on that this year. But definitely signs are on the horizon as we go through this exercise and better understand what needs to be changed. We'll be able to come back and look at prioritization and understand where we can fit that into the workload.
I appreciate that, and I think we're both well aware of, in recent months, how aged codes can become restrictive and the need to revisit those, as we've done that a couple of times over the last few months. But the only reason why I bring it up is I know that I'm old enough to remember the great Coddingtown sign debate of whatever year that was, and I know that there's, and Scott, we can bring you up to speed on that at some point, but it is something that, I know can be, then the reason why I brought it up was because it could and would be considered under a variance at this point, right? And so I think those kind of marry, and I understand the prioritization and putting our time and our resources appropriately, but I just want to put that on the radar as something that I think that down the line we could revisit. I can't remember if we did not do public comment because I had a question, then we went on a little diatribe there. So, all right, we'll go to public comment on this item. Nobody, we will close public comment on this item and then come back. Any final comments? I have no final comments, and we will close out this item and move on to 11.5.
Thank you, Chair. For 11.5, we will be having a discussion, or actually presenting the body here with information and a report out on art and culture initiatives and event policy development. And while I invite Meredith Knudsen, Art and Culture Manager, to the table, I can just share that the Economic Development Division in late last year, third quarter of last year, we dissolved the contract for partial event support services, and we brought in a full-time position, which is a new event specialist, art event specialist position, so that the city can take more of a robust role in terms of supporting events within our community. Also with this are conversations that we're having at a staff level about what exactly is a signature event for the city of Santa Rosa, and what is the city's role for supporting some of these events, and what are the tools that we have to support those events. So with that has been discussion around the development of certain event policy and practices and procedures, and also other initiatives which tie events to business vitality and economic development within our communities. And so for that discussion, I'll turn it over to Meredith Knudsen, Art and Culture Manager. Meredith?
Thank you, Scott, and good morning. Today I'll be presenting with you an arts and culture update, which reviews also some items on events as well. And as Scott just mentioned, my first point is we've hired Mackenzie Nelson from City of Healdsburg and City of Ukiah. She is our full-time arts and events specialist. And a couple of these items I'll be reviewing will be addressing in her first 6 months here. So again, we haven't had a full-time person focusing on events, so this really allows us to dive in and streamline a lot of our guidelines and processes internally here. So she'll be the primary point of contact for special events. That also includes film permits, block party permits that we process here. And she's focused on improving coordination, clarity, and the policy guidelines. The first step we're working on right now, we have a draft of a special events guidelines. So in parks, if you go to their page, they have a packet that outlines all of their guidelines. We have not had that for special events. And also, since we're now managing Courthouse Square, this really comes into play as we get, as you can imagine, a lot of questions on how to have an event in Courthouse Square. We want to ensure that all of the policies and processes are being followed and timelines. We're also working with all the different departments. We work with police, fire, parking, et cetera, on streamlining the process to ensure that we're not doing multiple reviews of the same thing as needed. So, we're going to reduce the duplicate reviews, and then also working on improving the communication between teams. So we're meeting with all of them to understand how we can best streamline the process for these also very large special events that we host. We'll also be looking at a fee study. Currently, it's about $200 to rent Courthouse Square. That's not including parking or if it's a larger event. There is a lot of time that goes into those. We also don't want to make it restrictive to have an event in Courthouse Square either. So we'll be looking at all the department times that's included in that, and then coming back to you at some point with our recommendation to move forward. Currently, we have 54 events scheduled in 2026. I expect that to about double. Last year, I believe we had about 85 events in Courthouse Square, so we're off to a good start. And we've also made a calendar available online, or Mackenzie has, I should say, already through Civic Plus on our website. So you could go and log in and see what events we have in Courthouse Square. This allows not only community members to know, but also any person looking to rent Courthouse Square. They have access to that. Also in our department, we manage the two grants. We have community promotions, which is open to nonprofits and community-focused events. And then we also manage the SRTBIA events that are focused on overnight visitors and tourism draw. These are really key tools to support all of these community events. And as you can imagine, we get asked a lot on how the city can support. And as these have evolved, we have a growing range of funding requests. One, we're looking at, are these for seed funding events, for startup events, or are they for long-term funding events? And also, we get a lot of requests in for non-monetary assistance, such as marketing support, recology support, and other operational assistance. So Mackenzie and I and the team have been reviewing what are the best steps forward for these two grant programs. And we're looking at different tier structures of support. So I imagine in the next few months, we'll also be coming back with some recommendations to move forward. Included with that, I wanted to include some of the events that we do support and through these grant programs. As you can see, actually this year, we have a lot more that we are supporting already, and we do still have some funding availability that's open right now for SRTBIA for the end of the year. We have some new events coming up, such as Santa Rosa Buskers Festival, Earth Day Procession, Hollow, which is a film production, Zombie Apocalypse Hockey, and Taco Fest, including some others in there. So all these events do get funding through our programs. And we are looking at expanding that as we do advertising for our grants programs, because we do want to include new events and encourage people to apply that haven't before. Last but not least, we've got two exciting events coming up. Bay Area Film Mixer, which will be on Friday, February 27th at La Rosa. We've been kicking off our Film Santa Rosa program and working on how to streamline our permit process for film. Also location support. I've been on calls with California Film Commission, Make It Bay, and a lot of other regional entities on how Santa Rosa can be the leader in attracting film tourism and also supporting the creative industry that lives here. So we've got some really exciting things in the mix, and I believe probably the next meeting I'll have more of a larger update for you on the Film Santa Rosa program. But for now, we've got the Film Mixer February 27th, so I hope to see you there. And then the 23rd National Arts Program reception is Sunday, March 15th. We hung the show this weekend. We have 176 participants. This is open to employees and Santa Rosa residents. And currently, we're the only active National Arts Program in California. Which is really great. So again, it's a national program. It's in over 30 states, and right now we're the only one in California, and it's been going on for 23 consecutive years. Even during COVID, we did an online program. So I think that's pretty cool. And that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I have no questions on this. That was a lot of information, but I'll come back with final comments. We'll go to public comment right now. Nobody moving again, and we will come back for final comments. My only final comment is that calendar is very useful. Really enjoy that, so I can plan my time out, because there's a lot of stuff that we are asked to go to, and so it's very, very helpful. I'm very excited. I will be at the Film Mixer on the 27th, and I will make the sacrifice. There's a lot of fundraisers that night that my colleagues will be at, but I will make the sacrifice and be there on behalf of the city. But I'm very excited that our art and events team is doing, and that I think that film update, the film effort update next meeting is going to be pretty exciting. So with that, we will close out this item. Thank you very much, Meredith, and we will move on to, as soon as I open up the agenda, other updates. Are there any other updates?
Just some rapid fire other updates for the Economic Development Subcommittee. Last year, the city engaged with Retail Strategies, a consultant who identified that there was over $1 billion a year in retail leakage, reflecting purchases for goods and services which were occurring out of the area. And so in response to that, the city sent a delegation to ICSC, which is a retail trade show, for the purpose of speaking with existing and new retailers to attract and grow retail within the community. We'll be doing that again this year, participating in May, sending another delegation, and we can come back in the future, report back on that. With regards to United Soccer League, the city, as has been discussed and has been presented before, is under a letter of intent agreement with USL to explore opportunities related to developing opportunity for a League One level men's and women's soccer team to come into the community, and for potential stadium design and construction in the community. Just updating this body and the public that the Tri-Agency Joint Ad Hoc has now been formed. It comprises of the city's own USL Ad Hoc, the county Ad Hoc, and the Fair Board Ad Hoc. They had their first meeting, which was a bit of a housekeeping discussion, logistics discussion. Those meetings will continue, and we'll continue to keep this body informed. As has been discussed, we are now under contract with Dr. Eiler, from economics professor and economist from Sonoma State University, to provide this body and our team with metrics and key performance indicators that will be reflected in the future in a new data dashboard, which is being developed as part of that one-stop shop initiative that we talked about earlier. Also with that, he'll be making regular reports to this body. He's made one such report already, and just putting on your radar and for the public that as part of that contract, he will be coming to full council prior to the budget discussions that will be held by council to give more of an overview state of the economy report, and so that will be forthcoming. Also, our team continues to engage where we're able to, where it's both feasible from a cost and from a resource perspective, in other economic development discussions happening at the state level, like with CalEd, Select USA, et cetera, so that we continue to remain not just representing Santa Rosa in those groups and those bodies and those discussions, but so that we're staying abreast of best practices, what's happening in other communities for economic development. So a lot going on, and we'll just continue to keep you informed, and that concludes our other updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? None from me. We'll go to public comment. No public comment. Both of them are shaking their heads no. And so we will close public comment, come back here for any final comments. Mr. Alvarez.
I don't have a better place to make this comment, but nonetheless, though, I did want to highlight that we have a new family member here in the business family of Santa Rosa, which is David Bussers, and I definitely want to congratulate the efforts of our team in bringing that organization to town. I believe it's actually one of their larger footprints, and we get to enjoy that here in Santa Rosa. So definitely congratulations to all the efforts that were being put forward, the discussions that made that happen.
Thank you. I have no other comments, so we will close that item out. No committee assignment discussion, is that correct?
There's no committee assignment discussion today. This section does not have a fixed, it's more of an open section on the agenda for staff and or committee members to discuss assignments which may be necessary. Staff does not have any assignments or proposed assignments at this time. And Chair, I would turn it over to you if you or the other committee members have any proposed assignments.
None. So since there's nothing for that item, we will move on to 14, future agenda items. Is there anything that you would like to add to a future agenda? I have none. Is there any updates you want to give on what may be coming forth so the community knows?
Yes, Chair. I think what the committee has seen over the last year or so is a discussion about quite a few projects that the department is working on that generally fall in the bucket of either business support or tourism. What we want to start doing is really create a tie on the tourism-related initiatives, and I think that tie is the city's marketing strategy. And a really important partner in that has been the Santa Rosa Metro Chamber for many years, and I believe the Santa Rosa Metro Chamber will continue to do so. Anand has been a great partner to me personally to tackle this mission that we're all trying to do, which is bring more people to Santa Rosa and create vibrancy. So what we would really like to do is start off with some comprehensive discussions about our previous marketing strategies and how we can improve. So what staff would propose for the next meeting is a robust discussion about the California Visitor Center, which is basically the California Welcome Center. That has been in operation for quite some time. So to bring Ananda to the table to have a collaborative discussion about what's worked, what we think doesn't work, potentially moving forward, and then understanding how we're actually dealing with the visitors that are coming into Santa Rosa in both a physical presence and as well as an online presence, and understand that balance. So staff would propose a robust discussion about the California Visitor Center on the next agenda.
Great, thank you. Any comments? None from me. Public comment? None. We will close out public comment and move on to our final item, which is adjournment, and we will adjourn at 10:02 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.